I'm Roxanne.
And I'm Catherine.
It's Two Girls Strong. It's Two Girls Strong.
So today's episode, we're talking about that ever-changing blueprint, about how we see life, how we see our goals, how we envision success, how those things kind of change over time.
Yeah, and how we make plans for ourselves based on our goals and how we measure success as well, and how it changes.
Yeah. So when we talk about the blueprint, for me, it's this kind of idea of how you'll feel when everything lines up. So you have this kind of blueprint in your mind that I'll be happy when I have money or when I have a house, I have a car, I have so many kids. And this kind of like these goalposts we set for ourselves. And yeah, I call it the blueprint. I actually didn't make that up. I think I read it in some self-help book, but it really resonated with me.
Yeah, I mean, a blueprint is a plan, like how you, it's the outcome of the plan essentially, and how you, the outcomes you want to see for yourself in your life.
Yeah.
And so, what would you say? Because we're speaking about it changing. How would you describe the way you perceived your blueprint in your early years, let's say your early 20s?
Yeah. So for context, I make music. I'm a music artist, a performer, a producer. And I guess when I first started, in terms of my career, I saw success in a very kind of obvious way that I needed to go tour. I needed to get so many streams or so many listens. I kind of had a very rigid idea of what success looked like, and it was kind of informed from the outside in. Like it was more like what I thought other people would think success looked like. And then I guess like then there's just other things that informed how I envision success, which is like growing up with an aspirational idea of what life must look like. Like I must live in the city, must live my Sex in the City lifestyle, party. To be honest, like a marriage wasn't like part of my of my blueprint. Quite the opposite actually. But yeah, I had a very kind of different idea of what I thought happiness would look like in my early 20s. What about you?
To be honest, I think if I really think about myself in those early years, I don't think I had goals for myself. I think I was very much following just the very basic milestone scripts, like go study, find a job in the line of work that I did. So right now I'm a career confidence coach, helping Black professionals get a raise and live life on their own terms. And I also do people and culture consulting for small startups to develop their people practices to be ready for scale up or sale. And that was didn't have goals like that. I didn't know that that was where I was going. It's not completely off target from what I was doing. I just wasn't setting goals for myself. I was just sort of following the script, really the defined script at that stage. So I did a aptitude test in high school, studied based on the outcomes of the aptitude test, and was just sort of moving through life really in my early career. And when I felt itchy, it didn't happen naturally. So I don't know if I had a blueprint, but actually I did, because I was following a blueprint that was already sort of set. It wasn't my own.
Yeah, like a default a default blueprint. Yeah. So we met in 2011, but we got together as a couple in 2016, and then by 2018 we moved overseas, and by that point we kind of like started really going for our goals, right? Like we became very clear about what we wanted our life to look like. What was the shift for you in that period of time?
Yeah, I'll say probably it became probably clearer for you than for me at that stage. I always knew that I wanted to study overseas. I did that. I knew I wanted that early in my years, but I was probably just a little bit too scared. And looking back, I'm glad I didn't, because those were also the last few years I had with my dad before he passed away. So universe on my side in that moment. So it was all the right timing. But when we started dating, I think I really got inspired by you and the way you were just completely off the default blueprint and script. And I was sort of took a leap of faith in moving to London with you. And I did my MBA. And I think there in London, really, I got space from that default way of being, away from the context of my upbringing and expectations. I could really just define who I wanted to be. And there it became a lot clearer around that I want to be part of making other people feel better about themselves and also help them figure out what their blueprint is outside of the expectations that we have from our upbringing, family, society, and all of that, especially Black professionals. And I also had a really great work experience. So there I got to decide more around how it is that I want to experience my life outside of family and society expectations. What about you? What shifted for you?
Yeah, I think like I didn't have a shift. I was kind of already on the trajectory when I started making music, but I knew like I wanted to travel. I had never traveled before. I come from a family where it's like not really a thing, so I really wanted to like visit different places. I wanted to perform at different festivals, and I got to do all of that stuff. I like what you said about your blueprint shifting, because my blueprint shifted a lot once I was living in London and I was touring and I was doing all these things, or like all these different types of things, and my music was getting success on like Netflix TV shows and on all these different platforms. I had kind of achieved a lot of the things that I like, the list of things I wanted to tick off. But then I realized that I I wasn't feeling good all the time. Like I kind of had overshot the sweet spot of like where happiness was for me, because I was kind of obsessed with doing what I thought success looked like instead of like what it felt like. And I think that is like the kind of shift that I'm in now, is focusing on what success actually feels like and not so much on what it looks like. What about you?
Yeah, exactly. And just what you saying now, it reminds me of what I would say to clients, like really, and something I've been thinking about recently now as well, is like, what would it look like if I valued my current experience as much in the same way as the future I'm aspiring to, or as much as my goals? Like, what would I do differently if I valued those two parts of my experience of life the same? And I think that is why I've also been shifting, like, from putting work and hard work as the core purpose of my life, and how I sort of the benchmark of how I measure my success and how what success feels like to me.
I think that also comes with age, right? I think as you get older, you start to focus more on what things feel like, and you maybe are less concerned with what things look like. Or at least that's what my parents told me. They said, as you get older, you'll stop giving a fuck what other people think. Um, and of course, that's something like, it's something I grapple with all the time, but it is easing a little bit. Like I'm kind of have more confidence in making decisions that might not look good on the outside, but like feel good for me. Yeah.
So with myself thinking about changing like the way I prioritize my current experience versus the priority of the goals that I want to achieve, over the last couple of years, I've really adjusted my ways of working. So changing from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 kind of work, to reducing those hours to 3 days and making much more space in my life to do what brings me joy, a work that brings me joy. So that's my coaching work, and that's slowly, constantly changed over the couple of years. And now I'm completely freelance doing the work that I do, and have ownership over my time. And even though like right now, to be quite honest, I'm in a financial slowdown, I am in a place of redesigning, reworking the way financial income slow down. I'm fine with that because I'm planning according to how I actually want to be experiencing my life and how I can express my skills in a way that feels good. And what feels good to me is variety and having like a range of variety in the work that I do, the projects that I do. What's like quite real for you at the moment in terms of how you are changing, like continuing that changing of your blueprint?
Yeah, for me, it's been, I think because the work I do is outward facing, the challenge for me is balancing, yeah, like what it looks like to be a successful artist versus like how I define success on my own terms. Um, and yeah, that has been something like I've been grappling with for some time, and I have to kind of anchor myself in like what it is that I want, you know? So I recently turned down a touring opportunity for 8 months because while it would have looked really good, I couldn't be away from home and away from you for 8 months. Like 4 months, maybe 3 months, 3 months or 4 months, but 8 months, too long.
Yeah, and also just thinking about that time where you were in that world where that is what you were working towards and you were living that life, you were doing it.
Yeah.
And it was every single weekend, um, every night, different city or country, possibly.
Yeah.
And during the week, so weekends, I would be on my own and just like doing my own thing back home. And you'd come back in the week and crash for the week. So we're also missing each other during that period. And yeah,
And that was like, it was fine. It was
was
fine
amazing.
in the moment that we were doing it, and I enjoyed it. But I also came to the realization that I don't want to hustle for the rest of my life. Like I don't want to keep shifting the goalposts. So like what am I working towards? Like I wanted to travel and see the world and perform on different stages and go to a different country every week. But is that something I really want to do all the time forever? Like once I'd reached that goal, I was gonna like shift the goalpost. Like what's the next thing I'm gonna have to sacrifice for? And the reality is I'm very aware of time. Maybe because I lost my mom and she was about 65 when she passed. So I'm aware that life is short. It can be short. And I imagine I'm gonna live the same length as her. I just have that, like, I don't know, maybe not. But I don't want to spend my whole life like living past you and like putting my career first and not the actual like enjoyment of life. Like what does life feel like for me? Because I always felt like I was doing this with an end goal of this thing. And now that I've bought the apartment that I wanted to buy with you, we have a home, we're married. Like I want to also enjoy life also while I'm young and I'm cute and like, you know what I mean? I don't want to keep hustling all the time. I want to hustle a little bit, but I also want to be cute and enjoy life and go for runs and yeah, have a nice time.
yes. And I think that's like such a great example also around goals, like having this carrot on his head, like it must be the biggest, like the biggest goal. You sort of have this goal that's so massive and not the in between thing that you're trying to take steps towards. For example, I'm talking about the apartment.
Yeah.
Are you open sharing about
Yeah,
that?
go ahead.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Me. Yeah. So I'd always wanted to buy a home. That was like my big goal. And I had this very lofty idea that the first house I'm gonna buy is a mansion. And I didn't think about the kind of in between steps. Um, I kind of had this very massive goal and didn't think about working towards it over time. And you really shifted that for me. The opportunity came that I could buy the other half of the apartment we were living in, and it's an amazing space. It's in the city center in like an amazing spot, and instead of having this giant goal of buying a mansion, it's good that I bought this apartment. Like be realistic and take steps. And honestly, it also shifted my blueprint because like, why do I want a giant house when there's just the two of us? We didn't plan to have kids. So like what? Like what's the point also?
Yes, and the other part of that is that when we set that, like the goal is that massive goal, and we only until we can do that are we happy with ourselves and we feel good about ourselves, and it's so massive that the gap makes you feel bad about yourself, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And you're constantly chasing after this blueprint of what you think happiness is like instead of enjoying the moment of being happy, of being like that life's good in this moment, like living in the future. And then that causes anxiety because you're not there yet. I mean, that's how I was experiencing it. And it's been a practice. In fact, it's a daily practice to like pay attention to my life in this moment. Like when I am making coffee, enjoying that moment instead of like projecting, like, what is it that I have to do? What must I achieve? Like, enjoy this moment of peace, just pouring the coffee and listening to music, you know? That's been kind of life changing, but it's an ongoing thing for me. Do you experience stuff like that? Is there anything like that for you?
I think I might be on the flip side that I wasn't like really dreaming big enough for myself. So I think I was on the other end where I sort of assumed that my success would be through someone else. Or like, yeah, just not my own. And I started shifting and moving in the world in a way that actually I can do this. I can make my own moves. I can make my own success. But the goal actually is to live a joyful, peaceful life. Yeah. So I think it's a bit I think it's different for me. You showed me how to dream big for myself and not hold back on what I envision for myself. And I think what I helped you do is like know that right now is also dreams come true, and like the steps towards that big thing also are so valid and important, and we gotta savor that as well. We have to enjoy it because you said life is short, but it's like also that life is short and long at the same time, because it's like short that you have, it's helpful to have a blueprint, have goals, have aspirations for yourself. I think that's good. It's good to have ambitions, but it's also long in the sense that the in-between time, the quiet moments, deserve attention. And yeah.
And what do those in between moments feel like?
Yeah,
Like, are you happy in the quiet moments, you know? So, of course, like, not everyone has the privilege of being able to work 3 days a week or scale back or even like work a job that they really love. But it's like, what do your in between, like, what do your in between moments feel like? You know, do they bring you joy? Because I think that's the least we can do for ourselves, from my perspective at least, is to have to be okay in the quiet moments.
Yeah. And you know what? I think for me, realizing my queerness is such a big part of this.
How so? That's it. Yeah?
The reason, I'll tell you why. Because, like the blueprint, like I told you, I started in my early 20s being in that default space. I was just like, get a good job, get another good job, maybe climb a corporate ladder, get married, have kids. Like, just that was what I assumed what the path of my life would be like. And I think when the more and more over the years, it's my 16th anniversary this year of being openly queer.
Oh, congratulations, buddy.
But in the first decade, like me getting more comfortable with my queerness just flipped the script for me completely in terms of that narrative, because that was just, while I didn't like picture myself straight, I didn't think I wouldn't be straight.
Yeah, you didn't like imagine that you'd be shacked up with a woman.
Yes, exactly. I was 19 years old when I came back to my parents and to myself. And yeah, those few years, like the plan didn't change for my life because I was queer. But the more I got into this new realm of myself, the more I realized that I can decide how I want to experience my life and reimagine what life looks like. And that also made me really stop and think about whether I want to have children or not. And yeah, we had to sort of be on the same page before we got married. And I'm still very happy with where I landed in that question and conversation with myself, that I want children in my life, but not my own. And I'm so blessed with so many kids' friends, sister who has a lovely nephew that we godparents to. But yeah, actually, in this conversation, realizing how much me getting into my queerness had a big impact on me redefining my blueprint.
Yeah, same. Like, yeah, definitely being gay has completely shifted for me, like how I live my life. No, I'm not even how I live my life, but the imagination I have for my life. Because being queer, you're like, you're other in some way. Like, we've all had to deal, well, I've had to deal with maybe external family stuff because of my queerness, family that think I'm this way. So I'm like, well, then I might as well run with it and like live the life I completely want to live. And also, being queer has afforded me the chance to meet the most incredible people and to live a colorful, beautiful, vibrant life. It's like I feel like my life is so rich because of it, because it's just like it's filled with beauty of like amazing people who have been through shit. It's brought music and color and pageantry and just like fashion, all these things into my life, and it's just made my life so much better and richer. And I've got a beautiful, intelligent, hot wife. Like, I don't know, life just couldn't be better, and I really have gayness to thank for that. Like, I have really, and I know that sounds funny, but it's like I really have my queerness to thank because it's made my life so rich and full. And yeah, it's also like given me freedom to change how I think about things because I don't have a very rigid idea. Like, I have the freedom to like reimagine my blueprint, because that's like I've had to reimagine since I was 15. Like, when I knew I was queer, I had to like imagine a world where being gay was okay when I felt like it wasn't. So I just have this like freedom, like this malleable mindset when it comes to like my world. It can change like this. And it's lekker. That's my rant about being gay. I love it. So, as we kind of wrap up and we think about this ever changing script, the ever changing blueprint, as a career coach, like what kind of advice would you give your clients um, about goals, the rigidity of their goals, the changing of their goals, the changing of their life experience? Like, what kind of advice would you give someone wanting to make a shift in their life?
I think the biggest thing I would say is to create space to actually hear your own voice, your own inner voice, outside of the messages you've received from parents, family, religion, society, and media, all of that things like create space to reflect and hear what your inner voice is actually saying, and then have aspirations according to that. Like, be scared, follow your intuition, not your fear-based decisions, but your intuition that tells you this is the thing to do, I'm going to do it scared. So that would be like the main things that I would say, to have people do that. And yeah, what would you say to people who are also maybe thinking about themselves as someone who has very early on changed the way that they approach life and outside of expectations and so on?
I don't know. I don't know if like, I don't really feel qualified to give advice about that.
What would you say to yourself then,
Yeah.
in your in your mid-20s?
I would say that most importantly, you need to have an inside out perspective of of success and not an outside in. I think it's very easy when you're younger to base success on like what your parents say or what you think whoever the hell is thinking or saying about what success looks like. And I think that can make you feel unhappy. And it's important to kind of anchor from the inside out and think, what does success feel like for me? And then also like enjoy that feeling. Like don't enjoy the projection of success. Like actually enjoy the moments. Try to enjoy those quiet in between moments. Yeah, that would be my advice.
That's lovely advice to yourself, and I'm
Thank
sure
you.
other people will benefit from it too. Yeah, this has been a really lovely conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the Two Girls Strong podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, you can connect with us on Instagram at TwoGirlsStrong or email us at twogirlsstrong@gmail.com, and that's with one S. See you next time!